this rapid spread of this virus, and so many people are dying and hospitalized, and the hospitals are stressed out, and how to deal with this in a normal way. So I leave it up to you. So see how you can help them to really think through this and try to bring the best aspect of their inner thing so that they can eliminate the fear and will be brave and very confident about themselves.
Well, I'm not trying to belittle the present problem. Yes, it's a massive problem. The situation in India particularly is grim. Now, the choice that we have is this: when the outside situations go against us, we will also turn against ourselves. Or when the outside situations go against us, we will stand up 100% for ourselves. What does standing up for ourselves mean? If you are for yourself, keeping yourself joyful, exuberant, alive is most important. And there is substantial medical data to tell you that when you're joyful, when you're exuberantly involved with life, your immune system, your whole body, every aspect of your body functions way better than normal. There is substantial medical evidence for this. There is no question about it anymore. There are no doubts about it anymore. It's well established. So one important thing we need to understand is right now, everybody is talking about gloom and doom. The logic behind this is, so many people are miserable, so let me also join that and be miserable. This is not a solution. You must make up your mind whether you want to be a part of the solution or part of the problem. If 10 people are miserable and you also join them in their misery, you are part of the problem. If 10 people are miserable, if you can in some way create a lighter atmosphere for them and for you, then you are part of the solution on one level. Above all, unfortunately, modern life has become like this. There is no contact with the earth, there is no contact with natural water bodies, there is no contact with the five elements in nature. Everybody is living and working in a box which is always at 70 degrees centigrade, 70 degrees Fahrenheit or something like that. Everybody in controlled temperatures, in boxes, we are living. You may call it an apartment, you may call it an office, but it's actually a box. So now the virus is trying to change your lifestyle. Every one of you were complaining about, if you're working in Bangalore or Delhi, you are complaining every day your commuting was taking 1.5 to 2 hours of circus through the traffic. Now you're spared all that, so don't go on complaining endlessly. There is no need to complain, only our lifestyle is changing. Our life we must protect with responsible and conscious behavior. Nothing about our life has changed, only our lifestyle is changing. But if you're misunderstanding your lifestyle as life, then of course you will suffer. So let us bring this sense to ourselves. What you wear, what you drive, where you live is not the point. How you live within yourself is the point. And right now, this pandemic, always this is the point, but this pandemic is bringing it up front, in front of everybody, to decide whether your life is important or your lifestyle is important. Lifestyle becomes important because we keep on living in comparison to somebody else, that you want to live little better than somebody else, you want to have more than somebody else, you want to be better in every way than somebody else around you. Let's leave this silly way of existence. Let's organize our lives in such a way that you're joyful, you're well, you're healthy, your family is joyful, people around you are joyful and well. This is life. Do not make a problem out of just a simple shift in lifestyle. But staying alive is important because life is precious. Lifestyle is not precious, life is precious. This shift in your fundamental understanding of what is life and what is lifestyle has to happen. If you do this, a whole lot of unnecessary stress you're building in your mind will come down significantly. Because you're not going to restaurants, it's blocked, you're not traveling, it is blocked, well, your expenses have come down. Even if you earn less, it's not really a problem. Your only problem is somebody else may be living better than you, that should not be an issue for you. Better life is not in the makeup that you wear, better life is not in the clothes that you wear, better life is not in the car that you drive. Better life is in the way you are within yourself. If this fundamental priority you change, not for the sake of pandemic, for your sake, not for the sake of the virus, for your own sake, if you make this shift, you will see there are a few issues and problems with the pandemic. The problem is people are losing their lives, that is the only problem. Otherwise, this is not a problem. Unfortunately, people are losing their lives because no nation can be equipped to provide hospitalization for its entire population or a major segment of the population. So, the important thing is, one way or the other, we may get an infection. The important thing is to postpone it as much as we can. So, this is why the vaccination drive is very, very important. Vaccination is not an ultimate solution, but vaccination pushes the problem. By pushing the problem, we will not overwhelm the medical institutions and medical infrastructure. With this, fatalities can be brought down significantly, people need not lose their lives. But the fundamental responsibility that all of you must take is, you must take this commitment. I will not get infected. Everything that I have to do for this, I will do. But if it so happens somehow I got infected, I will ensure that it does not go to one more person. This much commitment you must take. Why I am saying this is, the significance and the simplicity of this pandemic is this: it is not being carried by mice, it is not being carried by mosquito, it is not being carried by some other bird or animal or something. This is carried by human beings. Because we are the only sole carriers for this virus, the simplest solution is that we maintain some protocol so that we don't spread. If you are not the spreader, that's it. If every citizen takes this step, that's it, it's done.
This question is from Shekhar Reddy. Sadhguru, it seems like it is a time for prophecies. While many are referring to the foretelling of Putluri Veer Brahmam, a saint and seer from Andhra who wrote about corona in his Kalanyanam, others are referring to French apothecary, astrologer and seer Michel de Nostradamus. What is your comment on such predictions?
Wonderful, these predictions are wonderful, but they always happen after the event has occurred. So, all these people who are reading all these prophecies, why couldn't they prevent it if they knew beforehand? If you know beforehand and if you do not prevent a pandemic, that's called a crime of the worst kind. So, it is a human fad that they want to have a scope into the future. Isn't it wonderful? You don't know what will happen next. Otherwise, could you live? So, there are a whole lot of people, astrologers are attacking me all over the place because I am not good for their business. So, a human being is the peak of evolution on this planet. From the lowest level of creatures to as you come, you will see they become less and less available to the influences around them. Let us say there is an earthworm. If something changes here, he will die. He's not going to take a swim and go to Africa and live there. Or he is not even going to go 10 miles away and live there. He will die because that's how much capability he has. If this terrain or if his habitat goes bad, there is nothing he can do. This is why we've been talking about rejuvenating the soil, because these microbes and worms which are vital for our survival, they will not migrate somewhere else. They do not have the capability of a corona. Corona doesn't have the capability It is just that you are providing free transport. Human beings, the most mobile creatures on the planet, are providing transport. Our mobility, if we do not make it little more conscious, nature will control it. See, right now it's happened, we can't move. This happened. This was in Los Angeles. A hotshot corporate CEO had a pretty secretary. This is in early 20th century. Since then, much has changed. So, he said, "I'm going for a weekend in Palm Springs, why don't you come with me?" She said, "I know I'm your typewriter, but I'm not portable." Your portability needs to become little more conscious. It is human mobility which has empowered the virus the way it has. If this had happened 1,000 years ago, if where there was no air travel, no much sea travel, all this, then it would have been just there, wherever it happened. Wuhan or wherever it happened, it would have been just around there, maybe adjacent villages, something, and it would have died out. But because human beings have become so mobile, today they're in China, tomorrow morning they're in Italy, next day morning they're in United States or wherever. Because of this seamless mobility, suddenly corona has taken on a huge form. By itself, it would not have, because it needs you. So, this urge to always predict something. There was a man, he is no more, there was a man like this in Tamil Nadu. He predicted 500 years later, there will be a big flood in Tamil Nadu. I said, that's wonderful. People came and asked me, Sadhguru, what do you think? 500 years later, there's going to be a major flood. I said, that is why I am sitting at the foothills. In case the flood comes, we will go up the mountain. You are in Chennai, you will go. He said, is that so? I said, yes. But I can also make some predictions. 700 years later, this hill is going to become a volcano and blow. I said, what, really? I said, see, 700 years later, I will not be there, you will not be there. We can predict whatever we want. Please tell me what is going to happen in the next 5 days. Not even 5 months, next 5 days, tell me what's going to happen. This could be useful. Like a meteorological report. If you tell me what's going to happen in the next 5 days, it would be of some use. 500 years later, anything can happen. And of course, people have such a fad about these things, they will adjust the time and the prediction. Just about everything that can ever happen on this planet has already been said by Nostradamus. I'm not a French, I'm not conversant with French, but I like the word damus in English language. I don't know what it means in French. So, this will go on and on, people making predictions always of the past. Well, if you look at certain projection of how populations are growing, how things are happening, what kind of ecological damage is happening, you can make some calculation and predict something. That in this trajectory if you go, this is what you will hit, we can say that. But 500 years of trajectory is a different matter, because we do not know What all forces will influence things? People say, after the world war is over, they say, we knew this is going to happen, somewhere it is written. After the nuclear bombs, atomic bombs were dropped, people say, we knew about this, 2 ugly spots will happen in the world. What about the test explosions? You missed all of them, you don't know how many hundreds of tests have been done. Maybe human beings did not die, I'm sure. A whole lot of creatures have died. So this is a wasteful thing. Instead of doing what you have to do now, actively, you go on talking about how we already knew. There are 2 problems right now with coronavirus. Like somebody said, it is dense population and dense population. We are already a dense population, don't also be dense up here. Let's do what best we can do, don't predict how many people will die. It's just stupid. How many people we will not let them die, this is important. Shiva Sarveshwaraya Shambho Shambho Mahadevaya Yoga Yoga Yogeshwaraya Bhuta Bhuta Bhuteshwaraya Kala Kala Kaleshwaraya Shiva Shiva Sarveshwaraya Shambho Shambho Mahadevaya Yoga Yoga Yogeshwaraya Bhuta Bhuta Bhuteshwaraya Kala Kala Kaleshwaraya Shiva Shiva Sarveshwaraya Shambho Shambho Mahadevaya Yoga Yoga Yogeshwaraya Bhuta Bhuta Bhuteshwaraya Kala Kala Kaleshwaraya Shiva Shiva Sarveshwaraya Shambho Shambho Mahadevaya Yoga Yoga Yogeshwaraya Bhuta Bhuta Bhuteshwaraya Shambho Mahadevaya. Yoga Yoga Yogeshwaraya Bhuta Bhuta Bhuteshwaraya Kala Kala Kaleshwaraya Shiva Shiva Sarveshwaraya Shambho Shambho Mahadevaya. Yoga Yoga Yogeshwaraya Bhuta Bhuta Bhuteshwaraya Kala Kala Kaleshwaraya Shiva Shiva Sarveshwaraya Shambho Shambho Mahadevaya. Jaya 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 Mahadeva Jaya 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 Mahadeva Shiva Shankar Adi Anant Shiva Shankar Adi Anant Jaya 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 Mahadeva. Namaskaram. Namaskaram, everybody. Well, this virus from Wuhan is effectively managed in a few nations. In a few other nations, it's bursting forth. Unfortunately, United States has crossed 100,000 confirmed cases with probably 2,700 deaths. And in the world, the deaths are nearing, or today it's crossed 28,000. India, still doing well. There is a lot of apprehension that it may burst forth in the next few days, but mortality rate is, considering the population, it's very good. Various reasons, some of them we've looked at it. I think one important thing that we need to acknowledge is the governments, particularly the central government and the state governments together rather, they've done what is called as sealing the district borders. So, wherever infections have happened, the borders of each district, which is like a county, have been sealed. So because of that, even if it is in the next district, it is not really coming into this one. They kind of localized everything rather than allowing it to spread across the country, which is a wonderful way of managing this. And the medical professionals, health workers, they are doing a great job, the security agencies, the forces doing a great job. Army is on standby but not deployed yet, hope they won't be. Certain groups of people not cooperating, but largely citizens have cooperated wonderfully well across the nation. But this is only the fourth day. Inconveniences, frustrations and struggles will grow by the day. We need to manage that. Well, the only choice we have is that we come out of this as better human beings than what we were before this. Well, one thing is Wuhan has become famous. So I think today there are lots of questions, let's address the questions.
Sadhguru, the first question is from Mark. This is a very challenging time, both physically and emotionally, for healthcare professionals on the front line of coronavirus epidemic. Being fatigued and feeling drained, it is very difficult to know appropriate limits to maintain proper self-care while still continuing to provide the best possible attention to all those in need of our services. Sadhguru, what is your advice for all of us overwhelmed health care workers to keep us going during this crisis?
First of all, for all the healthcare workers, starting with India, now United States, Italy, UK, many other nations where it's flared up. First of all, we bow down to them because they're putting themselves and their families to risk. I want you to imagine a scenario where If healthcare workers, they did not take the job to die. They took the job to serve and to make a living. If it becomes too risky, because in every nation where there are deaths, a significant percentage is healthcare workers. If they say we don't want to do this, you can imagine the plight of the rest of the population. So Mark, to you and to many others like you who are out there in every nation doing this, we bow down to you. Not only that, now about 20 of our Isha Yoga Center volunteers have come up and we've put them outside from tomorrow. They are going out in the villages, assisting the local authorities in identifying and treating these cases. So our volunteers also stepping out to do this. We are choosing young people so that they will be able to withstand this process. In case they get infected, they should be able to come out of it. So, we're trying to do our bit, but we are not doing what you're doing, putting yourself and your family, and if you have children at home, putting them all to risk. So, at a time like this, this is not a time for me to tell you, do this meditation, do that meditation, come and do inner engineering. I will not do such things. But for doctors and nurses who are working in such conditions in United States to start with, we will offer the inner engineering online, free of cost. And the app, the Sadhguru app is anyway there, in which there are some practices, particularly Isha Kriya, and there is Upa Yoga. If you can pick it up and do whatever you can, it'll be good for you. Here for all the local people in the rural areas in Tamil Nadu, we are going to teach them a new, very simple practice, a Kriya, which is very simple. We will be demonstrating this after some time. You can also look at it and we will send a video for you. This also can be done. One thing is, this will enhance your lung capacity, this will increase or push up the immune capabilities. And above all, the practice that we will demonstrate after some time now, if you start doing it now, let's say you're able to do it well right now and after 5 days you're not able to do, you are very sure that you have some lung infection. May not be this virus from Wuhan, but maybe something else. But you have some issue in the lungs, that will be very clear. It's almost like a test, whether your respiratory apparatus are functioning well or not. That is the nature of the practice. We are mainly doing this in the rural areas, but we will also put it on the national television here. We will put it on the website and wherever else in all the other properties. Please pick this up and do it. But for all doctors and other health workers who are the frontline health workers, who are exposed to possibility of infection voluntarily, for all of you we will offer this inner engineering online free of cost. I know this will not compensate for the risk that you're taking.
Sadhguru, the next question is from Alex from IIIS, Tennessee. The latest statistics show that United States now hosts the largest number of coronavirus cases in the world. This has introduced a new level of apprehension amongst us here in the Isha Institute. What can those of us residing here do to best reduce anxiety levels and maintain focus?
I thought all of you are spiritual seekers and you're anxious. Well, many times, in many different ways, I have told you, if you just remove one thought from your mind, 90% of your spiritual sadhana is done. This one thought is, what about me? You can't get rid of this one stupid thought. Then you will slog for lifetimes and not much will happen. This one thought goes away, sadhana will fly. Sadhana will make you fly. Without removing this, you must understand this. This is like you get into your boat, you tie it to the pier and then row hard. Scenery will change. You will get old and die one day, that'll be one scenery. But incremental changes may happen. Nothing phenomenal will happen in your life because you tied up. What about me, what about me, what about me is a tie-up. Alex, you're a young man, huh? You worried about what will happen and you're anxious? You should be stepping out, maybe not right now. If things go totally out of control in the community around us, I will ask you to step out and do what you can do, as they're doing here in India. Well, spiritual seekers, if you're a seeker of any worth, then you should not be bothered about this. But what will happen, what will happen, what if I die? We don't want you to die, but unfortunately you will die anyway. The only choice you have is either you die for nothing or you die for something. I prefer to die for something. So, should I go and sacrifice myself for this Wuhan virus? No. You must be cautious. Being cautious is one thing, becoming fearful and anxious is another thing. Anxiety means, I don't know what practice you've been doing. Above all, if you're doing your practices, even if the virus comes, I would say for every sadhaka, those who are doing their practices properly, even if you get an infection, I'm quite confident you will pass through this effortlessly unless you're over a certain age group which is vulnerable. I should be worried. You, a young man, is worried about this, please drop this rubbish because I can't believe this. Anyway, for 100 people, you got nearly 4,000 acres of space. Aren't you worried? Isha Institute of Inner Sciences is nearly 4,000 acres, 100 people. We should put you on the streets of New York City. Yes. Well, Alex, I'm telling you, in case it so happens in McMinnville or in the local community in any of those towns, if things get really serious and overwhelming for the medical community to handle it, no hospital beds, no nothing, then you're going to vacate your room and there will be virus-infected people staying in your rooms. I want you to know this. This is my commitment to the world. When I said I'm a mother to the world, I didn't say it just to pass through some stupid program that I did. I meant it and I live it. You also better learn to live it. So anyway, if you have not done any other practice, today we are going to teach a simple practice for the rural people in this area. You can also pick it up and do it, also teach it to some medical professionals, all right? And I think we are taking a few decisions about how to run the III in the next 24 hours to prevent any infection, but at the same time, the young people, below 50 years age of people, you must be ready. Do your sadhana well, keep yourself strong. In case outside situation goes totally haywire in the community, I want you to step out and do something useful out there. If it goes absolutely out of control in Tennessee state, we will offer the III facility for the government or the medical services to use it. I want you to know that. We've already done that here. We've offered Isha Yoga Center for the state government. Fortunately, it's not going in this direction right now, but in case it goes out of control, yes, we will use the premises for everybody's well-being. And we don't have 4,000 acres out here, and we have lots of people. We have 4,000 people, not acres. Is Swami here? Demo Swami. Can take another question.
Sadhguru, the next question is from Evelyn from Indonesia. Namaskaram, Sadhguru.
Namaskaram.
How can people who are affected by death recover from the trauma and grief of losing family members during this epidemic?
How can people affected by death recover?
How can they recover from the trauma and grief
Okay.
of losing family members?
Okay. Well, I am not trying to make light of the situation. Situation is of enormous gravity. It's not that I don't understand this. I get this better than anybody, and I know more figures than what is in the news. So I understand the gravity of the situation absolutely. But this is what life is about, that situations can become very heavy. But if your mind also becomes very heavy, you are part of the problem now. When situations are heavy, you must be light-hearted, light-headed, doing what you have to do, sensibly. If you also become heavy, you are enhancing the problem. You are not a solution. World will be better without you. This is not what a human being is made to be. We claim, or even scientifically it's proven, that you are the peak of evolution, at least on this planet. I don't know if you will pass the test elsewhere, because even here most people are not passing the test. But you are the peak of evolution. That means you are the highest level of intelligence, understanding, perception, everything. If you're all this, you must be able to handle life situations well, gracefully, wonderfully. People are not dying only because of this virus. Right now, unfortunately, it's become a wave. It's become a wave. People are dying unnecessarily, that's the problem. Otherwise, every day, nearly 250,000 people are close to that, maybe 150 to 200,000 people die. Now, unfortunately, extra… what's the number per day worldwide? 6,000? Maybe 5,000–6,000 people extra are dying. There is a possibility that this can continue and grow into numbers which are unnecessary. So I want you to understand, death is not new in the world. Death is not new to families. I'm not trying to belittle whatever grief you have, but I want you to understand, this is what it means. When things go wrong in our lives, will we handle it gracefully or not? This is the most important thing. Otherwise, When everything is well, of course everybody is wonderful. Well, there are a lot of idiots, even when things are going well, they're nasty. There is no salvation for them. But when things go dead wrong in our lives, still we are there doing what we have to do. I want you to understand that those people who are consciously putting themselves to risk, that's where our empathy should be, really. Well, it got me, it got you, we either made it or we did not make it, that's a different matter. Yes, when you lose a dear one in your life, it's not a simple thing, because your life gets dislocated, you lost something precious in your life. Not easy, but this is the nature of this existence. This is the nature of your existence, that you come and you go. Either you go first or somebody goes first. Unfortunately, they're becoming victims to this spread of this virus, whatever. But we must understand this. Many waves of epidemics have happened like this. This time around, it is going everywhere in the world, but in cities, in villages, in countries, in the past century, if you look back, there have been plagues, there have been malarias, there have been even influenzas which have killed thousands and thousands of people. This one is getting all the publicity because this has an ability to spread rapidly and without respecting national borders or whatever, it's going everywhere. And above all, it is also the level of media and social media we have. So this is getting a lot of publicity. I'm not saying it's not dangerous, it is dangerous. It's unfortunate if you've lost somebody in your life, and many of us may lose somebody in our lives, or we may lose ourselves. It's possible if it goes out of control. So now that you know how painful it is, let us do something so that many more people need not go through the same pain. When you lose somebody very dear to you, how painful it is. If you know this, one commitment should be, you must ensure this doesn't happen to another person and another person as far as possible. All of it is not in our hands, but we should not… every citizen has to just take this commitment. I shall not be a carrier. I will not carry this virus and give it to another person. First thing, I will not let it come to me. Just in case it comes to me, I will ensure it doesn't go to another person. This much commitment we must take because there is pain. Pain is not just of somebody dying, the pain is of people losing so many things. People losing somebody who's dear to them is more painful than death itself. So we are sorry that you have to go through this. Unfortunately, many thousands of people are going through this. Present statistics say every day 5,000 to 6,000 people, but this number could multiply just like that. It can just burst forth into 100,000 a day, it's possible. This is not to create fear and panic, but we must understand what we are confronting. We need to know what we are confronting right here. What we are confronting right here is an unprecedented kind of situation. At least in our generation, we have never faced anything like this. This is the first time such a thing is happening. Whatever comes our way, let's ensure that we handle it gracefully and make sure what happens to us doesn't happen to one more and one more and one more endlessly. Grief is not just a psychological process. If you're very closely connected with another life, grief will be in every cell in your body, it'll hurt in every possible way. Yes, it is like that. That's why we are human. We are human because we can hurt for somebody else's tragedy. Somebody dies and we hurt, This is what makes us human. Suppose somebody dear to us dies and we don't hurt, this is not human, this is inhuman. So, yes, it hurts to be human, but that is why it is worthwhile being human. So I know I'm not doing anything to bring solace to you, but this is the nature of life. And what's her name? Evelyn? Evelyn, wherever you are, whoever it is that you lost, if you can send the latest picture of that person, we will see what we can do. And your picture also, we will see what we can do. I know this is a crazy thing I'm taking up, but because now we may be flooded with thousands and thousands of this, but because you asked, as I said, if somebody is hurting, if it doesn't hurt you at all, that means you've forsaken your humanity. It's out of that I'm saying this. Yes, Swami. Demonstrate. Microphone. 1 second, Swami. Swami. Can we set up a microphone? If you keep it there, will it pick it up?